Namaskaram and pranams to one and all. My name is Praveen Ariyaran. I'm taking classes as well as I'm performing artist of Mridangam for past 20 years. Today, I'm going to say about the origin and design about the instrument as well as how it is made, what are the types of talas and different types of instruments, and later part we'll go with the Mridangam part. So today while beginning, I just wanted to introduce this instrument as Mridangam. So as you see here, this is instrument mainly it made up of wood. So which type of wood, if you are just getting curious to know, it is made up of jackfruit tree. So it is made up of jackfruit wood with both the sides covered with the skin of animals, mostly cow, buffalo and goat. Mridangam is actually the main percussion instrument in Carnatic music. We can also call it as a main accompanying also instrument in the Carnatic music. As I have pronounced the word accompanying, you can see that when there is a concert, it usually accompanies the main artist. For example, the main artist may be a vocal or an instrument like violin or flute. So we accompany the main artist. It is the only instrument which produces varieties of sound. As you can see here, on both the sides, I can produce or. So there are different types of sounds which can be produced in this instrument. It is the only instrument which is very difficult to acquire the knowledge of laya or rhythm unless people undergo a vigorous training under a guru who has divine grace. Why I am saying is the knowledge of tala, or we call it as rhythm, is very difficult to gain. So before this, we'll start with the origin or the design of the instrument. How the name Mridangam has been given, that also we can focus it on. So let us begin with the design of the instrument or the origin. The name Mridangam has been given to it because in the earlier days, it was made up of, the body of the instrument was made up of clay. So Mrit in Mridangam, Mrit in Sanskrit we call it as soil. And this aspect was followed later on with the modifications from the soil to the present wood form, which you can see in the present. So there are actually various categorization of South Indian music. As we call this instrument, it's mostly played on South Indian music, because in North Indian we use tabla for rhythmic instruments, but in South Indian music we use Mridangam as the accompanying instrument. So let us know about the classification of three types of instruments which have been there in the South Indian music. So we can begin with Tata, Sushira and Avanadha. So Tata is mainly we call it as string instruments or chordophones. For example, violin, veena or tambura. So Sushira is mainly the aerophones, or we can call it as the blowing instruments. For example, flute or nadaswaram or saxophone. The third category is Avanada, which is mainly rhythmic instruments, or we can also call it as a membranophones. So for example, Mridangam, Tawil, Kanjra and etc. A wide range of percussives were used and known in the ancient days. For example, Veda, it includes Nagari, Dundubi, Bhera and etc. If you have seen in the films, old films, to commence a war, they use an instrument. For that instrument, we can call it as a Nagari or a Dundubi. even at the times of temples where there is a function or any other occasions. So they start with the playing the instruments before commencing any pujas. So this is the origin of the instrument which I have told you. Now we can begin with the tala. Tala is as the name mentioned, it is the cyclic time measure which maintains the rhythm. This is the definition of the tala, which means to say that if you see in a clock, which is an analog, there will be three needles. One is second needle, minute needle, and a hour needle. If you observe in the second needle, the time taken to travel from first second to second second will be the same time traveled from the second to third. So which means to say that talam is the cyclic measure which maintains the rhythm. For example, I'll just put the beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. As you have observed, the time taken to travel from the first beat to the second beat will be same the time taken to travel from the second to the third beat. So that is why we call it as talam is usually mainly used in the South Indian music we can say it as a vocal concert or an instrument or a dance music. Dance music includes Bharatanatyam. So the tala system is very difficult to acquire unless people go a vigorous training in the talam system. So what I say, that can also be called as a konakol. So if you see in the word tala, ta represents Shankara, who is the giver of happiness, and la represents Shakti or Parvati. So we can also say that the tala is the union of Shiva and Parvati. For easy identification of talas, 6 angas has been devised. These angas can be known as shadangas. For example, Anudruta, Druta, Lagu, Guru, Pluta, and Kakapada. So since we have discussed about the talams, we will begin the talam with the first talam, which can be also called as Adi talam. So Adi talam, as people maybe have recognized with these many concerts, every talam will be having a structure. So that structure we can call it as a anga. What is the structure means? For example, we humans will have a structure like two eyes, 2 ears, 2 hands and 2 legs. Similarly, every tala will have its own structure. For example, Adi talam, the structure of the Adi talam, or we can also call as the anga of the Adi talam, is 1 lagu and 2 dhrutam. So what is lagu and what is dhrutam? So lagu is nothing but, since the Adi talam has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That means Adi talam has 8 beats. So this lagu and dhrutam is nothing but as we previously known as shadangas. So Adi talam has 8 beats. So in that, if you notice 1, 2, 3, 4. This 4 beats consists of lagu, and 1, 2, 3, 4. That means we have 2 dhrutam. Each consists of 2 beats. So if you say 1, 2, this is 1 dhrutam, and 1, 2 is another dhrutam. So Adi talam has 1 lagu and 2 dhrutam. The other name for Adi talam can also be known as Chatushra Jati Triputa talam. Why I am calling this Chatushra Jati Triputa talam is, Chatushra means it is 4. That means it has a lagu of 4, and Triputa talam has 2 dhruta. So Adi talam can also be called as Chatushra Jati Triputa talam. To begin with this, there are 4 main different types of talams. One is Adi talam, Rupaka talam, and Chapu talam. In Chapu talam, there are 3 varieties of Chapu talams. One is Tishra Chapu, Mishra Chapu, and Sankirna Chapu. Tishra Chapu is 3, Mishra Chapu is 7 and Sankirna Chapu is 9. Apart from this, there are 7 talas. For example, Dhruva Talam, Matya Talam, Rupaka Talam, Jampe Talam, Triputa Talam, Atta Talam and Eka Talam. So there are 7 talams. We can also call it as Sapta Talas or Suladi Talas. And there are 5 jatis. For example, Khanda, Tishra, Mishra, Chatushra and Sankirna. So when there is 7 talams and 5 jatis, when you multiply it, it is the formation of 35 talams. Now to begin with the Adi talam, every talam will be having its 3 speeds, or we can call it as Tala Pramanams. For example, first speed, second speed and third speed. If you look at in the first speed, each beat will be having 1 letter. So in Adi Talam there is 8 letters, 8 beats. So in the first beat, so it will be having 8 letters. In the second speed, each beat will be having 2 letters. That means for 8 beats, it will be having 16 letters. And in the third speed, each beat will be having 4 letters. And for 8 beats, it will be having 32 letters. So therefore, we can also say that Adi Talam has 8 beats and 32 letters.